Hey guys, today we're going to talk about creating your sprint list and a plan that is actionable. It is the one part of the process that I think derails a lot of people. If they don't do this properly, they don't stay on track. I also have a free resource for you to plan out your ornament build week by week, and I'm going to walk you through how to use that. But first, I want to intro myself. My name is Jessie. I started an Etsy shop in 2020 when I was pregnant with my first daughter and I knew I wanted to stay home with her. To date, I've made 1.3 million in revenue on Etsy. And to give you a little breakdown, in 2020, I was following the life hacker couple and trying to figure out my shop with apparel. So I made under 5,000 in revenue. In 2021, it jumped to 50,000. In 2022, I started following Cassie Johnson, and with her expertise, I was able to grow my shop to 122,000 in revenue that year. And then that December, I decided to purchase Jesse Anselm's course, the owner of Inner Circle Prints. And by implementing his methods, the following year, I jumped up to 429 in revenue. And in the summer of 2024, I started coaching for Inner Circle Prints. So I'm a coach there now. My goal this year is to hit 600,000 in revenue. I have two shops. I have a shop that sells Inner Circle Prints products, mostly tumblers and ornaments. And then my other shop is apparel. I'm really passionate about what Jesse teaches in his course, and it's why I coach with Inner Circle Prints. I believe in the method, and he so generously allows us to share that method with you on YouTube. So that's what I'm doing here with this ornament build. But with his method, there's more research behind it. You have to get up fewer listings and you make more revenue. So instead of getting thousands of listings up to make a certain amount of money, you only need to get a few hundred up that are based on research. You're no longer trend chasing. You have a clear roadmap of the exact next step to take, because on Etsy, you can list anything and you should not list anything. You should know exactly what you're going to list and why. And I think it's perfect for busy moms like me who need that clear roadmap. Oh, this journey has taken us to the point where my husband was able to quit his teaching job and stay home with me. I haven't gotten him on the print on demand journey yet, but he is a YouTuber, and so he's pursuing that as an entrepreneur. We have two daughters, and we have another daughter that's due in November. So that's why I'm so passionate about this method. This whole time, I have been in it for family. We want to homeschool our girls. I didn't want to send my daughter to daycare. I wanted to be able to stay home with her, and that's why I started this. And then for freedom, financially, being debt-free, we're hoping to pay off our house this year. Freedom of time, freedom not to work under a boss, but to be my own boss. And then now I get to help other people realize those same dreams. I also want to throw in there that I don't think you should quit your 9 to 5 to work 24/7. And sometimes that's what trend chasing can feel like. So that's why I'm so passionate about the method that we follow at Inner Circle Prints. We want to work smarter and methodically, not harder and manically. Okay, so jumping into where we're at, I have already created these 3 videos if you want to go back and watch them if you haven't. We built our ornament HPP list. We built our KDA vision board for our ornaments. We built our photo templates, which is our listing photos for our ornaments. And now we are on to the planning phase of our sprint list. We need to know exactly which micro markets we're going to launch into, and that's what we're going to talk about in this video. I love this quote from Brian Tracy: "Action without planning is the cause of all failure, and action with planning is the cause of all success." Here are the steps that we're going to take to make your sprint list. Number 1, we're going to filter your HPP list down to no deletes. What I mean by that is, here is an example of my HPP list. I have this tab down here on the bottom that I'm titling No Deletes. I put a filter on this main list. You're going to create a filter on either your micro market column or your delete column. So right here it'll say create filter. And then when you click these little 3 green lines, you'll be able to deselect the X's and only keep the blanks if you're working on the delete column. Or over here on this column, you can deselect the blank ones and it will leave you with just your list of micro markets. You will then click this rectangle in the top left and hit Command C or Control C to copy it, and click on the plus sign down here and create a new sheet. And then click this again and hit Command V or Control V to paste it. And that will leave you with a properly numbered list of your no deletes or of your micro markets. Step 2, list out the micro markets already in your shop. This is going to apply for some of you, and for others it won't because you don't have any ornaments in your shop. But this is what I'm doing for this ornament build, and I wanted to share it with you. So last Christmas, I got about 60, 70 ornaments live in my shop. So down here, I created a new tab that's titled In My Shop, and I have listed out every micro market that I have represented. These are really just so that you can get them in your mind so that you know I have already designed for these, and then you get to make the decision as the business owner if you did a poor job of designing for them or if your SEO is bad. You can revamp them, you can redesign for them, but at least you know you already have those in your shop. So personally, I am not going to be hitting these micro markets. I'm going to be choosing other ones for my sprint list. Number 3, handpick the 100 to 200 you are going to launch into. And there's some parameters around this that I would suggest. So if we are looking at your list, these towards the top of your list have thousands of sales. And a lot of them are in the same large categories like engaged, wedding, new home, family ornaments, girl ornaments, boy ornaments. After doing all of the research, you will notice that there are the big categories that have a lot of search volume that are showing up on your list again and again. And that will be displayed all the way down your list. So I like to think about my list in terms of 3 parts: the top, the middle, and the bottom. I am going to balance building out for the top, the middle, and the bottom of my HPP list. I don't just want to sit up here in these micro markets that have a lot of competition. I definitely want to hit on them. I want to give my best shot at them, but I want to balance it with micro markets from the middle and the bottom of my list as well. Okay, this is not gospel truth, but this is what I'm doing, and this is what I suggest most people to do. In these large categories of engaged, married, new home, family, boy, girl ornament, and first Christmas baby, I'm only going to have 3 or 4 of each of those in my shop because I have seen sellers build out 10 to 20 engaged, 10 to 20 married, 10 to 20 family ones. It takes a lot of your time, and just think about the SEO that you're using for those. It's very similar to where a lot of the competition also is sitting on Etsy. So yes, I want to give it my best shot, knowing that those are less likely to take off for me than some of the other ones that are further down on my list that have more specific SEO. If someone's looking for an engaged ornament, there's only a certain amount of ways you can SEO that. If someone's looking for a bus driver ornament, that's very specific, less competition. I can stand out in that market. And for that reason, in these large categories, if I'm building out 200, I'm only going to do about 20 to 25 that make up those large categories. If I'm building out 100 ornaments, it's going to be closer to 15 that are representative of those large categories. And then the rest are going to be my at-bats for these other markets. So keeping that in mind, the third rule of thumb that I'm using is I'm selecting micro markets that resonate with me, that excite me, or that I'm familiar with. So there's some that are going to be on your list that you're just not excited by. I have 500 right here and I'm choosing 200. So as long as I'm following the limited percentage of the big markets along with top, middle, bottom, other than that, it's really up to me what I want to launch into. So what I did is as I went down, I kept in mind what was already in my shop. And then I just started copying and pasting the ones that I wanted to create. Also keep in mind, it's kind of like pick your business model. Do you want to have a lot of photo ornaments where they send you photos? It's up to you. It's going to take more time. you could make more money, but you have to keep that in mind. Actually, now with these family ones that I've always avoided in the past, Hello Custom has updates where we're able to create libraries inside of Hello Custom that have all of the graphics. It's going to make that process so much easier. It's still going to take a lot of time up front to figure out, but that would be a huge benefit if you're willing to learn that process in order to make these more complicated ornaments with the families. All right, so as you go down, you're just going to figure out the ones that you want to launch into, and you're going to highlight it, copy it, and then move it over to a sprint list here and paste them one by one for however many you want to launch or you have time to launch. I'm shooting for 200, depending on when you're starting your build and how much time you have to work on it. That could determine how many you're going to launch into. This question comes up quite a bit. When would I deploy variations? So for example, on your HPP list, if you're looking at all of the baby girl ornaments and there's unicorn, woodland animal, bunny, at what point do you separate those out and have them in their individual listings? And at what point do you combine them into one and have variations that the customer can choose from? We're going to talk about this more when we get into the designing video, but I usually think of it in terms of I will do this when it adds value and it doesn't slow me down too much from launching into more micro markets. If it's going to slow you down substantially, it's better for you to launch 100 or 200 ornaments than to slowly have variations on 20 ornament listings. But with that being said, the other day I was designing for a bulldog ornament, and I decided that I could add more value to that micro market by offering variations. And so I went to Creative Fabrica and found quite a few bulldog watercolor pieces of artwork and put them all together. And it didn't take me much longer, but I knew that my conversion rate was going to go up when they click in and they can choose from 6 different pieces of artwork. So there's no one answer to it. Ultimately, yes, it's better if you can use variations because it will increase your conversion rate. But if it slows you too much, it's not worth it. Okay, once you have handpicked the 100 to 200 that you are going to launch into, and you've moved them over here to your sprint list, now you're going to categorize them. And this is going to help you whenever you go to design. So after doing this process, I have a separate tab down here that's called 221 sprint list because I ended up with 221. After organizing them, I came to these main categories that you can totally use, and they are home and apartment. So when I have this little /, it just means that I'm grouping them together. Baby, kid, pregnancy announcement, wedding, engaged couple, accomplishment or other. This is kind of where the miscellaneous ones sit. Funny and sarcastic, Christmas, Santa, Halloween, religious, hobbies, food, sports, professions and careers, neighbor, coworker, friend, animals, sentimental, thank you, memorial, destination, trip, and family. And so over here on my sprint list that I duplicated, I added these categories at the top, and then I moved the micro markets under that. So when I go to design, so last week I was designing the sentimental ones and the thank yous. There's a lot of overlap in terms of the way that you're going to design, and it allows you to be more efficient with your designing. So I was using my KDA vision board and finding gaps in the market and figuring out how I can make these micro markets more valuable than what's already there. But with that being said, there was a lot of overlap in terms of what I was using. And it doesn't happen every time, but I find that breaking it out by category does make me more efficient. If I have to design 4 ornaments one morning, if I'm doing a sympathy saying, a thank you, a different thank you, and a serenity prayer, they're all kind of in the same vein. If I were designing for a Hawaii ornament and then it takes a village and then Great Dane, it breaks up my flow because I have to start thinking about these completely different categories. So I definitely suggest that you break them out by category using these. And this is going to be linked in the video description, so you can access this along with this week by week plan that we're going to go over. All right, once you categorize them, the last step is going to be breaking them out week by week on the Canva planning document. And before we do that, we need to talk about the different ways that you can go about your process with listing and designing. So what some people do is a linear process where they will design one, mock it up, SEO it, list it, and link it to ICP. And there are people who this just makes sense for their brain. It kind of bothers them if they're not working in this way. They may also lose track of kind of where they were in the process if they don't go ahead and mock it up, add SEO, list it, and link it right after they design it. But if you can avoid this method, it's going to make you more efficient. Because like I was talking about with the designing, this takes different parts of your brain. You're going to be much more efficient if you can batch, if you can do one of these other two. So the second option is batching it. So you would design a set number. It could be 5, 10, 20, whatever. And then mock all of those up and then do SEO for all of them, list all of them, and link all of them. The reason why I'm talking through the options here is because it's going to impact the way that you're planning. You need to determine which way you're going to work, and then that will inform how you plan out your weeks. The one that I'm doing is the third one, where I'm just designing all 200 up until the second week of October. And then in October, I'm going to do all of the mockups, all of the SEO, list them all, and link them all, which is a nightmare when I get to the SEO part, especially if you love the designing part. But what we suggest at ICP is for you to not launch your ornaments until the last week of October. And then at that same time to have a low price to drive rank from October 27th until November 7th. So that looks like if you run 50% off in your shop, you're running it at 65% off or 70% off. Because whenever you launch your listings, Etsy gives them this kind of halo period where they push it in front of customers to see if they're going to convert. The end of October into the first part of November is when the search volume for ornaments is going to tick up. So people are going to be searching for them. So if you put them in front of their eyes, right when the search volume goes up, you have the lower price to drive your rank to page 1 at the same time. Your clicks are going to increase, your sales are going to increase, and hopefully the idea is that you would get to page 1 and be able to maintain that. With that being said, there are some that are already bestsellers or popular now. Definitely feel free to go ahead and launch those, but by and large, we suggest that you hold off and then launch them at the end of October or the first week of November. And Jesse always says November and December are the best times for you to launch anything into Etsy because people have to buy before Christmas. And so if you're watching this and you feel like you're behind, continue to build into November. That is completely fine. Okay, let's go over how you can use this document to plan out your week to week. I have a little bonus down here of August and December if you want to add those. But we're looking at September, October, November. So what you're going to do is you're going to come in here to the template link and you're going to write down how many ornaments you want to launch. So let's say that you're trying to do 150. I use the capital I because the 1 looks really funky in this font. Sorry about that. I will list 150 ornaments and I'm shooting for November 1st. Personally, I'm actually trying to launch 200 and I've been designing for the past 2 weeks to accomplish that. But remember, this is your race. You don't need to be competing with other people. What makes sense for where you are at? I have shops on my list, my HPP list, who have 150 listings for ornaments that have been opened a year and a half and they have 20,000+ sales. So do not feel like you have to get up a ton in order to make headway. You just need to do it properly. Okay, in order to accomplish that, I need to design however many per week until what date. And so this is where you decide. So if you're doing it like I'm doing it and you're just straight up designing until the second week of October, then that needs to be reflected over here. So let's say that we're doing that and we're going to start doing SEO on, let's say, October 12th. That would give me That would give me 6 weeks to design 150 ornaments. So then I would divide 150 by 6, which is 25. And that means I would need to design 25 each of these weeks. So I would do, maybe I'll do SEO all, mockup all, link and list all. So you really need to just do this based on your plan. Let's say that you are one of those linear people, then it could look like if you want to list 150, then you have 9 weeks to do that. Then you would divide 150 by 9 and know that you need to list about 17 per week. You also need to determine what is realistic for you. Is it going to be doable for you to list 17 per week? Do you need to lower the goal to 100 ornaments instead of 150? Let's say that you're doing the middle one for batching, where you design 20, mock up 20. It could look like design 20, and then mock up and list those 20 on the following week. So that means you would get 80 to 100 if you did it that way. I have this star on where your deadline is, and feel free to move it down into November and continue to build. I will start SEO and mockups on. If you're doing it the way that I'm doing it, then you will put down the date for that. I will list on Etsy and link to ICP on. If you're doing it linearly or the second way with batching, then you can just delete these. But that's going to help you. And then we're going to break it out day by day as well. So remember, the work that you do now will translate to money in November. You have to keep reminding yourself that. I would suggest that you do your sprint list over here on your HPP list. It's just going to be easier for you, but if you want to throw them in here, you can as well. Here's a reminder of the categories that I broke mine down into. Yours will probably be similar. And then this last part is breaking it up month to month. So based on what you came up with up here, you're going to write that title on that week. So here, like design 25, list 25, or whatever it is. And I'm only going to be working on the weekdays, and I'm going to be doing 4 or 5 a day. So I put these little circles down here, and you can just grab them. If you hold down Option and grab it, you can copy it. And depending on if you're doing 4 a day, 3 a day, whatever it is, you can put it on there. And then also you can copy the micro markets. You can write the exact micro markets that you will be designing for, so that you can get super specific. And every day when you work on it, you can check it off. You can grab a check over here out of Elements, or you can print this off. I actually do this on a dry erase board next to my desk, and I fill in the circles with marker as I design for them. Oh, also, full disclosure on this, I do have a virtual assistant who is trained on doing SEO. And so as I do my designing, she's going to be helping me out with the SEO. And so it's not completely waiting in that sense for me. So just take that into consideration. It may be best for you to do the batching method, but figure out what works for you and then take ownership over it. And the last thing I want to leave you with is what Jessie calls the Sunday reset. It's at the end of each week or the beginning of the next week. You reevaluate where you are. So look and see what you accomplished the week before. If you fell off and you didn't design anything, just readjust your goal. Readjust everything. Move your micro markets down here. Don't let it have you quit, and then just readjust and keep on moving forward. I really hope this was valuable, and I am planning to do some photo template or photo listing audits. If you want to email me, Jessie, Jessie, at innercircleprints.com with your photo templates, but leave off your logo so that no one can find your shop. I'm going to make a video talking about how I would make changes, and I'm also going to be doing this for designs. I think eventually they may turn into lives, but first I'm just going to pre-record the videos. So if you're interested, I'm also going to put this in an email, but I wanted to mention it at the end. So let me know if you have any questions on this sprint list process, and happy creating.
I have some chickens. They will had a other chicken, and 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 Lucky stays out there, and my other chicken and don't know, and the door wide open, and the chicken don't know where the door is because and there's a crazy chicken. And the door and the box crazy and just box like a rooster.